Do I have a favorite moment in EQ or any old school MMO? Getting killed by Fippy outside of Kano's. Just the fact that there was Fippy running in Uncle Bugsy. That was pretty crazy. Zoning across the zone line for the first time and realizing that there's more to the game. Because you got to realize, like, I didn't look it up. I just basically, somebody said, I asked them if there was like a RPG that I could play kind of like Quake with other people. Logged in for the first time, was like, holy shit, mind blown. Weather came, like it started raining while we were all out there. It got dark. I'm like, oh my god, it's daytime, it's nighttime, it's raining. What is this? This is the Matrix. It's so high fidelity and sophisticated. The intro video already had me so pumped. Yeah, the click nicks, having monsters not aggro you, having monsters aggro you and be social. Yeah, getting hit with blind for the first time. I could have sworn the first time I got hit with blind is maybe, was there like a shaman or something in Blackburrow that would do it? And then the Muddites in Gorge, that was pretty crazy. Zoning into, like, realizing that Blackburrow was a dungeon. It's like, oh my god, that's a dungeon. Zoning into it, it's a dungeon. There's trains, there's chaos everywhere. Right, like when there are people all over the place, it was one game, it was amazing. When there are no people, it was a whole nother game, it was still amazing. Falling through the floor into the pit trap in Blackburrow for the first time and being terrified, like dying, like scrambling to try to get out of there and not die, dying, thinking I'm never going to get my corpse again and my meager items that I had gathered were going to be lost. Begging for help, seeing a hill giant for the first time, absolutely. Hearing the first, I heard the hill giant before I saw it when I basically went into West Corona. Mind blown. Nick said the first time I got blinded was by a shaman in a duel back in 2000. That guy was a gamer. How many friends did you tell don't go in a tree that went in the tree? I was probably one of those friends. Navigating EQ for the first time was so fun. Had a cloth map that came with Ruins of Kunark, and we used to figure out what directions to run to get to the next zone. Yeah, I've told this story a bunch, so apologies, but my most epic night ever in EverQuest was, I think I was like level 9 or like 11, something like that in Kanos. Probably like 11. I was OOCing, anybody want to go to Freeport with me? And because everybody, I was starting to hear like everybody cool was in Freeport area. Like I had to go to the East Coast. That was the word on the street, was you need to go to the East Coast if you're going to see the rest of the game and be around all the cool people. And so I started asking around, like, how do I get there? You know, like basically let's go east. But I needed a buddy because I mean I was a warrior, and as a warrior, you know, there's no bind, and that's a long trip to Freeport. And so I met, basically there was a cleric, a dwarven cleric named Arist, and Arist was like, I'm willing to go with you to Freeport. He could bind. And so he could bind himself. And so what we did was we basically just started going east. Yeah, this is the cozy corner. You should see it at night when the light's on as well. Looking at this level, you must have really loved Kunark. This was like, I don't know, man. This was like 7, 8 p.m. for me in Alabama. We decided we're going to go to Freeport. And so we basically we grabbed all our stuff. I think I probably even took everything out of the bank, to be honest with you. I was like, I got to carry everything with me. And so I had all my shit, you know, had my backpack, had my stuff, had my meager warrior gear. I don't even think I had any bronze at the time. And we start going east. I'm pretty sure that was the first time I saw a hill giant. And we're just like, oh my god, mind blown. And every time we would zone, it just seemed like this can't be it. And I don't think we had maps or anything. Maybe he was looking at maps. I mean, I just had the one CRT monitor. I don't think I was tabbing over to look at anything. I don't think I had anything printed out yet. I wasn't like that pro gamer yet. And so we went east And then for whatever reason, we took the route through like South Karana and Lake Wrath, and then like just kept going. And yeah, so Keith said sometimes EQ felt like a horror game. It was basically we would go and look around, but we're skirting the zone line. You couldn't even tab out of EQ unless you had win EQ, if you remember correctly. That makes sense. Like that wasn't happening for me back then. And I don't think I had my map binder yet. Anyway, dude, so much stuff was just happening that night. It was the most epic adventure I've ever experienced in any game ever. We were on Lake Wrath and we're like swimming and it's nighttime and we see campfires and we're like, oh, maybe that's somebody that will be our friend, right? And we like, going up there, maybe that's a little town or something where we can bind me, because I wasn't bound. I was bound in Freeport, but Eris could bind. And then we get closer to campfire and it's like, oh no, horror. It's, first of all, we pass through like the undead gnolls, and then there's like what ogres. There's a dead dwarf hanging from a chain, Eris. Don't look, cover your eyes. And then so we bumble around the zone lines. We get lost. We probably like circled the zone or whatever. We're getting chased by shit. Every time we'd get aggro on something, Eris would basically take one for the team because he would bind at every zone line. And so he would train stuff away from me and I would just run trying to find a zone line, and then I would zone. And then if he died, like basically I'd hang out there and then he would get back through. So it was like 6 or 7 the next morning on like a school night, right? Like he had work and shit. The sun had come up by the time when we got into Oasis, right? Because it was like, okay, desert zone. Oh my God, another desert zone. Okay, we're going down the coast of Oasis and the sun is coming up and my hands were sweating because I'm bound in Kanos, right? We've been on this epic journey since like dinner time or after dinner time the previous night. The sun's up now for real. The sun is rising in Oasis. The heat shimmers are already beginning to appear. It's a hot desert. It's so different than where we were from in Kanos. Crocodiles and shit, and people are just, they're all over the coast and they're killing these, like crocodiles, and there's this awesome ocean to the right of us, and we're just going. And all I could think was, I've got to get into this city and not die, for the love of God. I can't screw up. And then we get in there, and it's just like, bind me. Got bound in Freeport and was like, holy shit, we made it, dude. We made it. So then we went back to Oasis, and we went and we climbed on one of the pillars, and we sat there and we watched the sun, like we watched the sunrise again.